Morning, Fractal Effects team. Before we get started, please make sure you read the disclosure. If you're following along with us today, make sure you do in a demo account, as this is for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. Jump onto the charts in a minute. So we did have high impact news drop today. For the most part, I am avoiding NAS. We're just taking a look at oil. The market's dropped overnight, of course, because of the tariff news coming out of the US yesterday. I'm sure if you had alerts set up across any of your stocks, they were probably all triggered last night. So right now, everything is bearish, of course. We're still waiting for that range to be broken. So our manipulation range never got broken on oil. On NAS, it did. We wicked, created a liquidity void here, and then a fair value gap in here. And there's our New York fair value gap as well. Just gonna get rid of this. But this is the only 5M fair value gap, proper gap I should say, that was created after wicking the manipulation range to the upside. We also hit the blue zone, of course. So a bit of a tricky model here with NAS, another reason we're avoiding it today. We had a upside expansion model as far as the spotlight, and then we had a sell model. Now with all the volatility happening in the markets, today is going to be one of those days you might see a whipsaw effect. But we're primarily bearish, as mentioned before, sell model. And now we bounced off the blue zone, we manipulated up, and now we're most likely going to get a bearish confirmation. No tap as of yet. Just watching this market, just doing some ticker tape reading for those who do trade NAS during this week. I do not trade after Tuesday on any week where you have FOMC or if you have non-farm payroll. I just avoid Wednesday onward. Monday and Tuesdays are fine if you can find a good trade setup, of course. But we'll continue to do the ticker tape reading just to let you know what our bias is at least. As mentioned before, I think we're going to sweep those lows and continue down, but this is the fair value gap of interest. Has not been tapped. But there is also the inverse NYC opening gap, that green one that's painted out by the indicator. Just remove the drawings here for a second, just to show you guys. So we punched right through. Then we did not touch the consequence encroachment, but that's exactly where the 5M fair value gap is sitting as well, right there in the consequence encroachment of the NYC fair value gap. So if we did push down, most likely be from here, unless this just continues to run away. Oil, again, has not broken that manipulation zone, even though we're waiting for confirmation, and we're going to just switch over to the spotlight strategy. This is actually still one of those points of confluence that we use. So the fact that it has not broken the manipulation range, when it breaks here, because we have 4-hour lows right down here. So if it just wicks down and then closes above, this thing could just want to push back up. Hit this 15M fair value gap. We got a 5M fair value gap in here. There's our NYC fair value gap that's created right there. Again, we're extremely bearish, but still waiting for a confirmation. Here comes NAS. Again, we'll most likely take out these lows. The question is it going to come back up in here and then push, or is it going to just give us a bearish confirmation? We still got 6 minutes left before our range is fully formed. As of right now, nothing has been tapped. So it did create this gap right here. So this was immediately filled in. Now this is, again, still the most important level as of right now. This is the only valid 5M fair value gap. Then we do have a gap here as well. Void. We're back at the 20 EMA. I like to see it hit this. Also the midpoint, the consequence encroachment of the New York fair value gap, maybe even tap into this. And then on the 1M, you'd look for the same thing. Fair value gap to be created. Hit a fair value gap, create a fair value gap. For anybody who's attempting to trade NAS today, keep in mind that there is a lot of volatility. There's chances of a lot of manipulation. It doesn't have to be, but there are chances. Those chances are increased, bringing down our probabilities. And if our probabilities drop below 70%, we're not interested. That's why I personally am not interested in this market, but we will continue to read out the charts for you. Three minutes left for a range formation, and then we'll wait for a confirmation. We apologize, we weren't on yesterday. We were having some technical difficulties with our streaming software. We will be adding a couple of things to our package as well. As mentioned before, we have partnered with a third party. People have asked us about Signal service. That's not a service we want to provide personally. But we have partnered with a company, a third party company, and that will be, going forward, it will be a part of your package, whether or not you choose to use it. And what the partnership entails is they mostly utilize our strategies. They have access to our strategies to trade the markets, and then they're the ones who are going to be actually facilitating all of that. But again, we'll bring you some more news as we finalize those things. And then we will be bringing you a TradingView discount as well. We partnered with TradingView. We just have to set up our affiliate end of it, and then we'll be able to offer you a discount on your TradingView membership. Let's see if we can get both a range formation, a manipulation move, and a confirmation all on this next candle here for oil. For NAS, I didn't see if it came back up into that fair value gap. Yep, we tapped it. Now we'll most likely push down, or maybe I'll push deeper in here. But again, we're waiting for confirmation. We've abandoned the spotlight strategy. The blue zone strategy. We're only using the blue zone strategy as confluence now. And as far as the blue zone strategy goes, we manipulated up, wicked right off the blue zone, created a gap here and here, but it never tapped. And you want to make sure you get that move before 10:30 Eastern Standard. Otherwise, that's when the spotlight strategy takes over. There we go, getting a deeper retracement back into it. I'll take a look on the 1M. So our range is fully formed. So the next candle to break out of there will give us our confirmation. So we have not created any bearish fair value gaps yet, the 1M. Remember, it's after you hit it. These ones don't count. This is the first candle that tapped our 5M fair value gap and the midpoint of the New York range. Let's see if we get that confirmation on this next candle. 2 minutes left. Still no 1M bearish fair value gap created here on NAS. We are getting some reaction off that midpoint. It's left a lot of equal relative highs, so it might just want to sweep that one more time, tap into this fair value gap, and then push down. That's why we wait for confirmation. No other assets have confirmed either. There's only a few that we're watching today. Trying to avoid any US related assets. Just watching the NAS. We're not interested in actually trading any US related assets. Now, people always talk about buying the dip. Let's talk about that while we're actually waiting for this confirmation. About 26 seconds left. We did an early retracement actually, so we might move fast here, but remember this is also the manipulation move. So on the 5M, we want to see this candle close down here. There's the 4-hour lows. Let me see what 1 standard deviation falls. Today is also Thursday too. On Thursday, we do usually retrace back to the weekly range, but the weekly range is well above us today. So far, no 5M fair value gap created here yet. We still need to see this candle print. The only other one is still up here. We do have a small range. There's your 1 standard deviation just below 4-hour lows. So in case this just runs down and taps that, fortunately, that's the low-hanging fruit today. That's all the market's really giving us today. But as I was saying, people always talk about buying the dip, and obviously there was a massive dip yesterday, overnight. Now keep in mind, when you're doing top-down market analysis, and you see one of these big dips, and you take out previous lows, you just go back into your analysis. You still have to wait for a pullback. You still have to wait for a reversal pattern to happen. People who blindly buy the dip, sure, they could make some profit, as the market comes back up the next day. But that's not guaranteed. It could continue to just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. So just because you see a dip happen overnight, it's usually amateurs who buy the dip, and some experts who know there's going to be a little bit of, a pullback. So if they're day trading it, then they might just buy the dip and then sell it immediately. But for the avid investor, buying the dip without seeing a reversal pattern happen that's not the smartest move, because again, it could just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. Just because you see a dip overnight doesn't mean that the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days that it's not going to just continue to drop. Dips are not always guaranteed to rebound immediately. So always wait for a reversal pattern. Always wait for the perfect entry, or at least a high probability entry. So we have 2 minutes left in this candle. We do have a 5M fair value gap that's being created here. The only thing is there's not much room because our range is so small. I don't even think we could squeeze out a 1 to 3 here. Because our stop loss would still have to be up here. One standard deviation, that's a 1.1 RR. That's not something I'm interested in. NAS looks like it might be heading towards that confirmation soon. .35 seconds left. We'll still follow it. But as mentioned before, there's a 1-to-1 here. That's not interesting at all. Now if it comes all the way up here and sets up an entry over here, that might be worth it. Something like that. So we'll see. As far as NAS, it did leave that 1M fair value gap behind. This is the only one it left behind, and it has not tapped it yet. So it might do one last run up here before finally giving us that confirmation. Let's mark out this fair value gap real quick. NAS. Let's see if it runs back up, taps this fair value gap, and drops. Remember, this confirmation doesn't count. This is on the 1M. I don't believe we have one on the 5 yet. So we're back up at the 20. Could either bounce off this or tap that fair value gap. Oil now pulling back up into this fair value gap. NAS almost taking out those lows. We should be getting a confirmation here soon. So we already did an early retracement. So once we get confirmation, it'll either be off of whatever that next 5M fair value gap is, or I don't think we left one here actually. Let me check. Oh, we did. So there's a fair value gap right there on the 5M. A lot of tiny little fair value gaps today. Remember, you got to make sure you zoom in and see them. The indicator will paint them out for you, but you got to really go in and take a look. Oil still has not come back up into this fair value gap. This is the only one. I can see it wicking all the way up here. But this is the only way this trade makes sense, is if we somehow get in up here, because this is still our stop loss. This is one consecutive leg. If we're only going to one standard deviation in this small range today, it might not be worth it. Just short of getting our confirmation here on NAS. Okay, so we just got that confirmation on NAS. Now this fair value gap becomes the area of interest. Let me get rid of this. So as mentioned before, oil is the only asset that looks interesting right now. We're avoiding NAS just because of the news. So I'd like to see this come back up into here, touch that 20, and then depending on where it starts turning around, there might be a trade set up there. NAS has given us that confirmation. This is the only fair value gap of interest. Could bounce off that, but as mentioned before, not interested. Let's see where, there's the weekly range is above us. We've had a big drop. Still no proper pullback here for NAS. And this might just continue to drop because we did have this early retracement, but it still has to tap a fair value gap. And then for oil, still waiting for some reaction here. Just consolidating and gesticulating right down here. The longer it does this and it keeps kind of slowly inching down, it lets us know that the market might be too bearish. If it just keeps dropping from here, it might be even too bearish to come back into this fair value gap, but this is the only area of interest currently. About 7 minutes away from 11. Still nothing of interest. Keep in mind, if it was any other day, or any other week, I should say, this would have been an interesting setup. So we had a sell model. We bounced off the blue zone, came down, bounced off the inverse New York fair value gap, and then we even took the manipulation zone to the upside first. Right here. Took it to the upside, hit the blue zone, dropped. This would have been the best entry on any other day. And that's the funny thing is, on these days, sometimes you'll see the strategy work exactly how it was supposed to, like clockwork. But as I've mentioned before, it's not worth it on these days. That's why we avoid it. So oil continuing to drop, has not pulled back into our range. And the longer it takes to actually pull in, the lower the probability. So we'll just wait and watch. And with NAS, I could take any one of these fair value gaps that it's created technically, but avoiding this market. On for anybody joining us late, on weeks like FOMC, non-farm payroll, you want to obviously be out of the markets by Tuesday. And if you're not out of the markets by Tuesday, proceed with caution. If that's the kind of trading you wish to do, we have our own set of rules. We have our own masterclass. That's why we teach our strategies. But if for whatever reason you feel comfortable taking that risk or utilizing our strategies for certain moves, that's on you. But Tuesday is the safest. Monday, Tuesday, trade, and then get out. And that's when we had the drop. Tariff news was dropped yesterday after hours. And that's when you saw the market drop in the after hours. Again, oil still continuing to drop. NAS might just use this fair value gap as a foothold. Let's turn on the standard deviations here at least. So one standard deviation's down here. This would have been a decent entry on any other day if it came up here, but we've not seen any upward momentum yet, so could use this fair value gap and just keep dropping, or it might shoot up and touch this 20. But this is still the better bet, the bigger range. As soon as oil hits, if it comes down here and hits one standard deviation, we'll conclude our session. Not really offering up much here. And it's funny how NAS, which is a mirror image, by the way, of what's happening in crude oil. NAS actually had a good couple of setups, but just unfortunately it's not the day for it. If you stick to your rules this strictly, you'll be proud of yourself at the end of the week, at the end of the month, when you look at those numbers and you're like, hey, I was able to make this much. This was my ROI, and I stuck to my rules. You have to see that consistently. Taking risks like this on days like this, it's not worth it. You'll still get a consistent ROI. But taking chances like this on days like this, sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't, and it's going to mess up your ROI. I've always compared it to taking the same path to work every single day. If you take the same path to work every single day and you get into a car accident, there's nothing that could have been done. But if you suddenly deviate and take a different path to work on a day and you get into a car accident, you're always going to sit there wondering, would I have gotten into this car accident? Obviously not, if I just stuck to my original path. That's the best analogy for this. If you stick to your rules and you have a loss, that's fine. If you don't stick to your rules and have a loss, those are the days you're going to regret. You're going to be kicking yourself. About 28 minutes left. Market seems to be just slowly eking its way down. For NAS, I might have just used this fair value gap. There's going to be some new videos going up in the masterclass soon. There's going to be some extensions as well. And we'll be posting that on our Instagram, fractal.effects. Make sure you're following us. Anytime there's an update, be it to our live streaming, our website, our masterclass, or anything, it goes on our Instagram first. So right now we've actually decreased the price of our packages. So for as low as $50 a month, you're getting access to the master classes, our indicator suite, which is exclusive through TradingView. We're working on getting you a TradingView discount as well once you sign up with us. You're going to have access to a third-party signal service if you're interested in that, Market Sentinel. Access to Spotlight Dashboard, which is the 20 years of aggregate data. And of course, the live sessions. Right now, our live sessions are on YouTube on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We will be going eventually 5 days, maybe even 6 days. And there'll be more sessions. There will be an Asia session, for example. So we'll be going live 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, which is 5 Pacific Standard. And it will all be exclusively on the back end. We're still setting that up for you guys. Remember, never chase the market. We're not, even if it's eking its way down here one small candle at a time, there's nothing here. There's no foothold that was created. This is still the only valid fair value gap that was created. If it doesn't tap it and it just keeps eking down, then it doesn't matter. Remember, we stalk the market. We don't chase the market. But we're waiting right here. This is the Serengeti. This is the brush. We're just lines in the brush, waiting and watching. About 24 minutes left. Still a whole bunch nothing. As I mentioned before, as soon as we hit one standard deviation, I just want to go over one thing and then we'll conclude the session. This thing just keeps dropping on us, that's fine. 20 minutes left in our stream. Remember, the market's always either taking liquidity or filling in inefficiencies. Taking liquidity in the form of highs and lows, and filling in inefficiencies in the form of fair value gaps. So when the market took this low, that was liquidity. And now we're crossing the 4-hour lows right there, marked out by this green line. So it took liquidity twice without hitting a fair value gap. That's why this fair value gap is the only important fair value gap. Like, this is where I would be first interested in looking for a buy if it worked out, if my RR worked out, my risk to reward. If it didn't, then I don't take it. But there's no point in chasing this because it's taken liquidity and taken liquidity. Where's the inefficiency? And it does it in that order. It's liquidity, inefficiency. Liquidity, inefficiency. Doesn't mean that they can't be in the same direction. It could be liquidity, inefficiency, liquidity. But it's taken to liquidity without hitting an inefficiency. So unless there's some higher time frame efficiency here that we're sitting in that I haven't marked out, this is still the only interesting zone. Here comes NAS back into this fair value gap to touch this 20 most likely. This is interesting to see this exact same pattern on both sides, by the way. US oil and NAS. It's almost identical. Oil having a hard time getting up here. But the 20 EMA is now sitting flush right inside this fair value gap. And as mentioned before, my R, my 1 to 3 RR would be from up here. But we'll still call out the actual setup if there is one in here. Maybe we can take this time to actually go over what I was talking about with stocks here real quick. Let's use just any one for as an example. Keep in mind this is not financial advice. This is not a recommendation, just showing you a strategy and a setup using a random stock. Let's use Netflix. One second. So this is the daily setup for Netflix. You can't just, as soon as you get a drop, you have to have your setup still. You still have to see a reversal pattern. So for example, Netflix took out its previous highs, low, high. This isn't marked out. Oh, actually, yeah, sorry, low, high, low, high. So this green was the last high before the drop, and it took that out. So that's a good sign. That's a reversal sign. And now you want to look for a fair value gap on the daily time frame, one that preferably hasn't been tapped. Mostly all have been, but there's one here that it looks like it's going. You want to see what it does in there. Does it bounce off of that and head back up, or does it cut right through? So you got to wait and look for all these signals up front. And sorry, we lost our mic there for a second. So you want to hit that and look for a reversal pattern on first the daily, and then the 4-hour, the 15 minutes, all fractal. But for people who just buy the dip, let's use another example here. I think there was a pretty big dip in Lululemon. Okay, look at that. By the way, this is all taught in our top-down market analysis. We tell you exactly what this is. This is not a coincidence that it came right back into this zone. Even with the drop, even with the tariff news, this was still the zone that I was looking at and marked out weeks in advance. But this is just a drop. There's no reversal pattern here yet. You got to wait for a reversal pattern. So people who just buy the dip, it could continue down further. You don't know. So you got to proceed with caution at all times. Now let's jump back over to oil again. Oil is now at that 5M fair value gap, that area of interest. You just get this chart to cooperate. Same thing with NAS. It's come up to that 20 EMA. We only got 10 minutes left in our stream. So I just want to see if we hit the 20 EMA on the 5M. A little hard to see. Maybe we'll do it on this next candle. Now we'd still have to create a 1M fair value gap. I'd still like to see, again, it dig deeper into this. We've barely touched it. For example, for anybody who bought the dip, there's actually been more than a few stocks that have continued to drop past that point even. Always wait for a reversal pattern. With 7 minutes left in our stream. Still no bearish fair value gap created. I'd like to see it again, dig in deeper into this fair value gap, wick. We got to take out at least, what did we take out this high? We got to take out at least the highs in this area. I guess we did. Yeah, we wicked above this. Got 5 minutes left in our stream. Still waiting for a bearish fair value gap to be created. I think this one might have already got filled in. Yeah, that's already filled in. Now we're at the consequence encroachment of that fair value gap. Let's see what happens here. digging even deeper. Where the higher it goes, the more it comes into that range where we're actually interested. But it has to be within our allotted time. So we filled in this fair value gap as well, the 1M. Looks like it's heading up higher. Most likely going to take out this high, but let's see. Still continuing up higher. With 1 minute left, most likely not see the setup we're looking for. So unfortunately, that's been our session. Once again, we apologize for the technical difficulties we had yesterday. We'll keep you posted. Remember, we always post on our Instagram, fractal.effects with an E. Anytime we have any issues or anytime we've uploaded new material. That'll conclude our session. I will be live again next week, Tuesday. Have a great weekend.